Sharks,
Yes?
why are we in space?
Why are we in space? I just needed to get away from Earth, from the LEC. I mean, the throws, I was watching from home and I was like, what is this? 13.7K gold throw. The LPL was so sick and we're down there covering the LEC.
I know.
I needed to get up here, yeah.
We lost the plot. You lost the plot here. It's not what this is about. SK, richtig gut. They've been really, really good for the past few weeks. Belgium, thriving. Niski is not as bad as we thought, and Torgemas is in one of the top teams.
Yeah, okay.
The Heretics, not so much smiles anymore. They actually have a plan of passion, aggression, vision, and they delivered last week. And okay, here's the kicker.
Okay.
Eyes on the prize. Worlds, international events.
Yeah.
It's not a one-team region anymore.
No?
Yeah, no, KC is good.
Yeah.
G2 didn't lose a single game, and Fnatic, if they're not good, at least they're entertaining. So believe me, there's hope.
Okay, you're right. You convinced me.
Let's go down.
I mean, our 11 minutes are up, so let's go back to Earth.
on.
Let's go back to
Yeah.
the LEC. Let's
It's
go.
gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Thank
Trust
you,
me.
Laura.
It gets
You
better.
know what? I'm
Oh, no.
so happy to be back.
She's gonna kiss the phone.
Mwah.
Katy Perry at home, guys. Katy Perry at home.
Amazing. Now I'm excited. How about you?
I'm great.
Did you miss me?
We've got a spacefaring friend for you.
Oh, amazing.
I'm really
They look
excited
kind of
after
like
the
an
bit.
alien, I gotta say. No, but it's true. There's some cool stuff happening, and I wasn't here last week, of course, I was watching, but the fact that SK is doing well, that Heretics is doing well, we've got a lot to be excited about.
Especially the middle of the pack, it shapes
Yeah.
up to being a very competitive battle, because in the weeks leading to this, we didn't really feel like maybe the battle for 5th and 6th was convincing or any exciting. But right now, I feel like with SK and Heretics ramping up with their games, it feels like we're going to be having a pretty good battle.
We're also going to ramp up with a game. We're going to play a little warm-up into this week's Ready Check. So we asked some players to state 2 correct statements and 1 false statement. So 2 truths, 1 lie. And basically, we have to find out what the lie is. The first person is Elyoya. So let's take a look at his 2 truths, 1 lie.
Elyoya, and this is 2 truths, 1 lie. Japan would be my ideal trip vacations right now. I used to be a swimmer and got some gold medals, mostly bronze, but some gold medals also, competing. Yeah, I got a 0 mark on an exam. Well, multiple actually. I got multiple zeros on exams.
But I think he's a really bad liar, I think. 'Cause those all sound like lies, the second 2.
I remember there was a content piece on him being a swimmer. I just don't know.
Really?
Yeah, there was, and there was a really good animated thing. That was really cool.
But
So
we've got a swimmer here, so
I
does he
would
look
rem-
like a swimmer?
I would remember. Yeah, I can
Yeah?
see it. I can see it. It's just I would have probably remembered, because
It
every
would have been
time.
years ago.
I mean,
but
I would be on the
remember
lookout
that.
for
You
whoever's the
remember
swimmer.
that? I'm gonna trust Alex.
So I know
then.
that one's true.
The first one, like the trip to Japan, literally everyone who's into gaming. So
Yeah, but-
that's not
Sorry,
real.
am I
feel like
wearing
you
the
can't-
right shirt for this? I feel like I
You
am.
can't
Yeah.
even get the 0 mark, can you?
I don't know. I feel
And
like
if you
that's a
don't
lie.
turn up, if you're late,
that's
if you
the lie.
miss the exam.
For
Yeah.
sure, that's the lie.
He was also kind of just like floundering.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
It's first or third. I'll trust you.
I would say the third one.
That's
I
right.
think that the third one is a lie, that he didn't get the 0 mark. Let's see what the answer is.
And the lie was the competition, obviously. Like, I used to compete swimming, never got a gold medal.
Alex!
Swimming, I didn't remember the medals.
You're gaslighting
I
us.
got
What is
bamboozled
this?
He was a
hard.
swimmer.
I was like,
You're really bad at all these games we play on the desk.
I won the last one.
Actually, I think I just got baited into
I
the
won
Mira's
V2
idea.
the last
Yeah,
one.
It's
because
fine.
also he said gold and then he said bronze.
Yeah, I was like, he's elaborating
Aw.
too much, you know? You can't bash yourself down like that. So I
Oh,
was sure
okay.
it's the truth.
At
really
least we're
disappointed.
learning something from players.
That is true.
You know, I know the Twitterers love that. Let's take a look at the second one. It's from Kadui.
When I was young, I actually skipped 1 year of class, so I kind of skipped class. If I would have not been an esport player, I would have been a pilot nowadays. I'm a relative to Dirk Nowitzki.
What's his last name even? Kituis.
Kadui? Kadui McMedurson, I'm sure.
yeah.
He started with when I was young, and I was like, brother.
And you'll be glad to know I
Those are
haven't
3
seen any
lies.
content pieces, so I can't gaslight you for this
Okay,
one.
okay. He also delivered them all with a very straight face.
I think
so
that's just a
related to
German
Dirk Nowitzki, he's a basketballer, right? And Kadui is actually really tall, but
That
it
is
sounds
true.
like it would be a lie because
For me, all of them sounded like a
But
lie.
like, missing a whole year of classes, that's kind of intense.
But it's also not
That can
something that
happen.
someone.
Yeah.
I think it's the Dirk Nowitzki one person.
The lie?
So yeah.
Probably. It has
but
to
that's
be.
really specific. Would you lie about something
I
specific?
mean, you need to make up an easy
That's
lie,
true.
you know. So it might as well pick a famous character or a person.
Wait, what
and
was the
then
second one?
he would be a pilot if he wasn't an esports
Oh. Oh, I don't
I
want
can
to be
see that.
responsible for our losses, but
player. Okay,
Oh no, you're choosing this one. I
okay,
did
the
last
third
one.
one's a lie. The
Dirk
third one's a
Nowitzki.
lie.
Dirk Nowitzki, for sure
Yeah,
it's
that's a lie. Let's see.
And the lie is, I'm not a relative to Dirk Nowitzki.
Oh.
I'm glad I didn't say what I
Yay.
wanted to say then.
Okay,
I'm
we
glad
have
you didn't.
one more left. Kidui is really tall, by the way, in person, so I was thinking about it. But before we do the last one, you can also play in Twitch chat, so you can start now once they start talking.
Ooh, Chatterman.
And yeah, you can start chatting and playing along with us since we're not doing that well, and it's Mickey. So let's take a look.
I was semi-pro at Mortal Kombat X. When I was around 12, I was a volunteer firefighter, and we had a lot of competitions, and we won the nationals. My favorite movie is The Prestige.
Wait, how do you wait? What's the prize?
He's from Slovenia.
It's like, okay, the house isn't on fire anymore. Like,
No,
what is this?
A lot of it's like obstacle courses, and you have to kind of like get a whole team of 4 people up a wall, so like you kind of scale that. So a lot of it's like very intense obstacle
Where's Twitch
courses
chat?
and carrying people as well.
They
If,
need-
like,
I
I
need
mean,
that
he looks like a
helps.
nerd. I don't see him doing stuff like that.
Wow.
I mean, it's true.
Excuse me?
I mean, maybe he was jacked when he was 12, you know?
What is
but-
Twitch chat saying? I can't see it. Is it not working?
Oh my god.
and,
but
and also like
Oh,
He's
it's
good at
not
fighting
working.
games.
and MKX.
Can someone tell me what
that
they're
would've been
saying
10
if you're
years
looking
ago.
on?
MKX was about 10 years ago, I think.
I think it makes sense. That
That
makes
one
sense.
makes
Yeah.
sense, I
yeah.
think.
And he's good at fighting games. He always
Yeah,
beats
look, he's a
everyone up.
gamer.
Yeah.
The man's a gamer.
What was the last one? My memories.
So we had Firefighter, we had MKX, and then...
what was the last
Oh no, it's still flying away from me.
Wait,
my God, this
production,
completely
what was the last statement he said?
I was too, like, bamboozled by everything. He's
Favorite movie, The Prestige.
Prestige, that's the one.
That makes sense.
Has to be the firefighter one. Like, come
Okay,
on.
we think the
Firefighter.
The
firefighter one.
firefighter is completely
go.
a lie.
And the lie is, I haven't gone pro in or semi-pro in Mortal Kombat, but at some point I will.
You said that made sense!
But
You said that made sense!
Semi-pro is so vague. Is everyone
That did
saying,
make sense.
"Oh, I'm semi-pro in this"? You know, when it's just you're better than the noob.
It's fine, I'll play by myself next time.
Yeah, you're better than the noob, but you're not good
Well,
enough
I
to
got
be a
everything
pro.
wrong,
Twitch was
so...
correct?
Yeah.
Twitch was correct.
I'm sure
I'm
it's
just
on the
here as a
wiki
handicap.
somehow.
I'm here to bring you all down.
Yeah. Oh well, this is really nice. We're gonna keep recording those with the players. But anyways, we are in the middle of the spring regular season, meaning we are inching ever closer to those playoffs. And I wanted to take a look at the standings and color-coded as to if the playoffs were to happen right now, who would make it in. And it would be pretty stark. I think a lot of people would be very surprised to see, let's say, SK in there, Team Heretics in there, right? Do you think they can hang on to that, Alex?
This conversation gets a lot more complex when you look at strength of schedule.
Yeah.
I think teams like GX have a really hard road ahead of them, so I think they have to prove like instant turnaround for me to be more confident in them. Teams like SK and Heretics, I can't remember actually the exact things because we've got a number of weeks to go. It's just, you know, obviously a lot of games left to play. I feel like they're a little bit more safe though.
Also, the conversation is about the teams with... I'm looking at Vitality, I'm looking at GX, and I'm looking at Rogue because they all have a different number of games played. So for Vitality, it feels like the fate is in their hands a little bit more. But when you look at GX and at Rogue, especially Rogue, I feel like any loss past this point could be elimination. Especially given that you need to be top 6, it's not top 8 anymore. And for GX, it's also quite difficult, I would say. So I would say that the big outliers are SK and also Team BDS. I expected Team BDS to do a little bit better. But time will tell, I guess.
Time will tell. Let me jump on that BDS point because I created a little graphic and I want to know from you if you think these players are doing better or worse than they did last year. If they've trended up and down, you can also break it out a little bit more, but Irrelevant is in there for me. So what do you think?
Oh, I expected a lot more for Irrelevant, especially because I felt like him coming into LEC in 2022, 2024 was his biggest standout year. I felt like he had the best performance, his stats were looking great. And right now, I feel like he's in a position with BDS where they expected from him to be bringing out his A game as well. But I also feel like he's not being integrated that well into BDS's system.
Got to do one of the others. We don't have a lot of time. You want to pick one?
Yeah. I think Jackie's, I think he's doing worse than last year, but I'm not necessarily going to blame him. I think there's a lot of dysfunctional things within that team. We don't know who's making all the plays, so it feels like he's forced to. And when you're forced to make plays, you can kind of make some mistakes. I'm glad he keeps trying, but it's hard to really judge him.
Okay, what about Humanoid? We've got Fnatic Rogue up in just a few minutes.
He's still coin flipping as ever. Sometimes awesome, sometimes like dropping the ball a little bit. I'd say maybe a little better compared to regular season this time last year.
But I mean, come on. People were calling for this guy's benching. They have been for a while, right? It was bad. We all know how bad it was. And some games you could also really see it. So
It wasn't really pretty, but at least now I feel like his biggest issue was the fact that in regular season he wasn't really doing well. He was always ramping up in playoffs, and also he was dying a lot to level 3 ganks. He was pretty much the 7th jungle camp on the map. This used to happen consistently, and right now that stopped, right? But I still feel like he needs to level up a little bit more just for him to have the impact that Fnatic
I'll say it's a
would
little
want it to
bit
have.
better.
It's better. I think it's better as well. I agree with you there. So they're up versus Rogue. You said it already, Alex. The strength of schedule for the teams coming up is very, very important. Now for Rogue, I think we're going to be repeating this. These are the teams that are still playing, and they need to get every single win. But can they begin with one today?
Oh, that's going to be rough. I think that depends more on Fnatic than Rogue, sadly, for themselves. Because we know that Fnatic sometimes look excellent. They demolished Vitality the other day, but sometimes they can lose to a lower down table teams. So realistically, they have to hope a little bit on the dice roll, but they have to show their A game too.
Yeah, they have to see if Fnatic wants a happy game today, and we'll see if we get some insight from the Fnatic camp, because Laura's standing by with Duffman in our Marriott Bonvoy pre-game check-in.
Thank you, Sharks. Duffman, thank you so much. How have you been since the last time we had a chat? How are you settling in now?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely different to like previous teams I've been on. Very different like atmosphere to like last year's G2. A lot more, I'd say, laid back. I'd say less, I guess, like regimented. I would say. So it's been good.
Is that better or worse given the players that you have?
Yeah, I think it's better given the players we have for sure. I think, yeah, just better.
All right. When you think about Fnatic and the way you guys have been improving, I know that thinking about SK was just a bump in the road. And obviously, given the performances you had since then, I would tend to agree. What would be some improvements for Fnatic? Because I feel like it touches on stability more than anything.
Yeah, I think we're definitely getting a lot more patient around objectives. I think that's like the biggest thing I saw before I came, is that there was just a lot of rush to hit objectives, to start it, and to put ourselves on a clock. So I think that's probably the biggest area that I've looked to work with the team on, is just recognizing when we actually have control without hitting the objective.
Something that Mickey was mentioning in Winter was like the impact of communication and the way the team was communicating with one another and how that made the team successful. When I think of mid-games, I was wondering if it's been one of the issues that Fnatic may have had in difficult times and how you've been able to tackle this specifically.
Yeah, I think in mid-game, I think the problem I seen was just a lot of ideas. Everyone kind of wanted to do their thing. So there was just not really like a unified thing to do. So, I mean, for me, it's mostly about finding like the triggers like on the map that tell us what we should be doing, instead of people like, I want to do this, I want to do this. It's more like, we need to do this kind of thing.
Do you like, try and have like a cohesive way of like having the same views on the game? Or sometimes I'm taking that these players can have different inputs and maybe sometimes one voice can prevail because it would be the right one?
Yeah, exactly. I think when you have good players on the same roster, you often have the cases when you have 2 or 3 players who are like really strong in any game. So they kind of have their own different ways of using that, and that can be a problem sometimes. And it's trying to like find the stuff in the game that don't rely on specific players being strong.
Hopefully we can find those solutions to this. A couple words on Rogue today?
Rogue? I mean, I'm always interested playing against former players, so playing against Adam will be fun today. I think they're a team that could probably have a few more wins than they have currently, so it's not like we're playing against a team that we can take lightly, I guess. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
No teams can be taken lightly anyway. Duffman, thank you so much. Best of luck for today.
Thank you.